So I've been using a walking pad every day for at least 30 days now while I work, and it really has been a game changer for me, especially since I'm a mom. I work from home and it's kind of hard for me to get my steps in. But over the last 30 days or so, there have been quite a few issues that I was not expecting to happen. So today I'm sharing 5 things that I wish I knew before I started using a walking pad, so that if you decide to use one, you can avoid these mistakes and only see all of the benefits. Let's dive into it. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance. On my channel, I share the science-backed and delicious information to help you achieve your weight loss and wellness dreams without counting calories. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Today's video is also sponsored by Element, but more on them in a bit. Okay, the first thing to know is that it is a lot easier to work while walking than I thought. This was honestly my biggest concern. My husband has been trying to get me to get like a walking pad or a standing desk forever, but I thought it was gonna be really hard to work and to be able to think while also walking, or at least to be able to like type while walking, because for the most part, other than when I'm filming, I'm on my computer all day. I'm editing, I'm scripting videos, I'm researching, I'm writing recipes and blog posts. So I was a bit concerned that this would be really difficult to do while also walking. But honestly, this wasn't actually a barrier for me at all. There were a lot of other barriers when it came to walking on a walking pad while working, but this was not one. In fact, I've actually noticed that there's some activities that I do for work that are actually easier to do while walking. It's like walking on the walking pad stimulates a lot of those creative juices, which actually makes sense because I get some of my best ideas for work or just for life when I'm out on a walk anyway. Even if I'm writing emails or scripting or blogging or writing recipes, this actually has not been hard to do as long as I keep a pace of about like 2 to 2.5 miles per hour. So I'm not like speed walking, but I'm still getting a lot of movement in. But I've also noticed that there's other activities where I can bump up the speed a bit. Like if I'm editing a YouTube video, for example, I can usually walk at like 3 to 3.5 miles per hour and it's totally fine. But it absolutely does require a good setup. Otherwise it just won't work. So this is the setup that I have. First of all is an electric sit stand desk. I think this is a non-negotiable if you are going to have some type of walking pad while you're working, because inevitably there's going to be times when you want to sit and work and not just stand or walk. And if you don't have a desk that is very easy to make go up and down, then you're probably not ever going to switch to sitting or switch to standing. The one that I use has these preset features where I can click like 1 or 2 or 3, and the first button has been set to the height for when I'm sitting. The second one has been set to a height when I'm just standing, and then the third one has been set to the height when I'm on the walking pad. The second thing that is absolutely crucial is a nice big monitor. I actually really need to upgrade my monitor. It's kind of tiny compared to my husband's. I do need to get a bigger monitor, and it is entirely my fault because I've been too lazy to find a good monitor. But the monitor is important because when you're standing, you're gonna be like a little bit further away from your screen than you are if you're sitting. And so having that big screen that's at eye level can help so that you have that good posture the whole time too, so you're not gonna get back issues. And if you don't have a great monitor that can't go up in order to match your eye level, then you can do this little hack that I did, which is just propped it up with like 3 different of my old nutrition books. So I knew there was a reason why I kept all my college nutrition books, even though they're like over 10 years old now and definitely outdated. They still serve a function. Okay, and then the third part is of course a walking pad, but I specifically like a foldable one. These are going to be more expensive because they have that added feature of being able to be folded together and made smaller. But if you live in a small space like I do, we have a very small office space. Having a foldable walking pad really does make all the difference and is worth that extra money that you spend on it. That way I can just easily fold it up, push it to the side when I'm not using it, and it's not taking up too much space. Whereas if I had a non-foldable one, it would just take up way too much space and it wouldn't be practical. I'll have all the resources that I use for my complete setup linked down description below if you guys want to check that out. Okay, the second thing to note is actually like a really big mistake that I made, and it's that overtraining is highly possible. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I say walking is very hard to overdo, and typically that is true because for the most part, most people are not standing and walking all day long. We're lucky to be able to get out and go for like a 15-minute walk here and there. Of course, there are certain jobs where you're on your feet more often, like a waiter, for example, but a lot of people like myself who have more of a sit-down desk job, we kind of have to like find opportunities to walk. For that reason, walking can be really hard to overdo and therefore isn't something that you usually have to worry about overdoing. That is not true when you have a walking pad. I was absolutely shocked to see how many steps I was getting in a day without even like realizing working it or trying, because I personally will just get in the zone when I'm working. Like when I'm editing a video, I'll suddenly look up and realize it's been like 2 hours later. And if I've been walking that whole time, that's 2 hours straight of walking. So there have been quite a few times that I've hit like 20, 25,000 steps without even trying. And doing that a few times or every now and then, totally fine. But consistently hitting that amount and consistently being on your feet all day, especially if you are also working out or training, that can lead to like serious overtraining symptoms and make it hard for your muscles to recover from those workouts in kind of a similar way that excessive running can do that. So my classic walking versus running video way back in the day, I talk about how running can cause issues like increased cortisol, increased hunger, all these things that can cause imbalances in our hormones and also make it harder to achieve a long-term fat loss goal. Now, I actually noticed some of these symptoms from walking too much because it is so easy to walk so much when you have a walking pad. I did notice that I was starting to get so hungry on the days that I was walking a lot, obviously. And I was also noticing some sneaky sugar cravings because I was walking so much. The bigger thing though, I noticed that I was taking longer to recover and I was almost getting like these sick flu-like symptoms from poor muscle recovery. So what I do now is I just make sure I set limits. Like I will go for about an hour, maybe 2 hours of walking on my walking pad. And then beyond that, I'll make sure to sit or to break up the walking with some sitting so that I'm not accidentally getting like 25 or 30,000 steps. But I have to admit, this is one that I'm still actively working on because it is just so dang easy to keep walking when you're on a walking pad. Which, speaking of how important recovery is, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Element. Element is an amazing electrolyte company that was specifically created with intermittent fasting, low carb eating, and athletes in mind. And especially when you are walking a lot, it is so important to make sure that you're getting enough electrolytes to prevent muscle cramps, as I learned the hard way. And Element actually does contain those electrolytes without having any sugar. I've been using Element for years now. I love them. I love the way it makes my body feel and how it makes me recover better from exercise and feel more hydrated and prevent me from getting muscle cramps from my workouts. My all-time favorite flavor has been their grapefruit salt. I was so excited when they added it into the permanent rotation. It tastes so good and I literally never forget to take it because I love taking it, which means that I consistently get the benefits of having high quality electrolytes. And I always like to share Element with my friends and family because it makes me feel so good. And especially for my nieces and nephews who are in sports, it's so important for them to get their electrolytes too. And they all love the flavor. Element also comes in other delicious flavors like raspberry, citrus, and orange. And you can get a free 8-count sample pack of Element's most popular drink mix flavors with any purchase at drinkelement.com/autumn. You can find your favorite flavor or share it with a friend. This is only available through my link, so make sure to check out drinklmnt.com/autumn. The link is also in the description down below. Okay, the third thing that I wish I knew was that a lot of the data that I track was going to be skewed. Also that I would look like I was on house arrest. Let me explain. So I've been wearing a Fitbit for years. It's a type of fitness tracker that tracks, of course, my steps, but it also tracks my sleep and resting heart rate. And I love the data. I love that I can see how these things are changing over time and also work on improving different metrics. Like one metric that I consistently try to improve is my resting heart rate. I typically just have a pretty high resting heart rate, probably because I'm like ping-ponging all over the place, but I've been able to start to slowly bring it down with a lot of the different strategies that I've added in over the years. But having the walking pad has really caused the data to be a little messed up because I have to wear my Fitbit on my ankle. Because of course, when I'm working, I can't wear the Fitbit on my wrist because I'm typing, so it's not tracking the steps. And yes, my walking pad does tell me how many steps I'm getting, but I like to have all the data consolidated in one place on my Fitbit app. So when I'm walking on the walking pad, I put it on my ankle. And I have to use one of my daughter's ribbons to tie it around my ankle. So I literally look like I'm on house arrest. It's always a little awkward when I go to open the door when somebody comes over and I see them look down and just like get concerned about my life. But I have noticed that because the Fitbit is on my ankle, of course it's tracking my steps, which is great, but it's really skewed my resting heart rate data. Now the Fitbit was obviously intended to track that data from the wrist and not from the ankle. And because of that, I've noticed my resting heart rate data has been skewed to a lot higher than it was before. It's been trending about like 4 to 5 beats on average higher versus on days when I'm just wearing it on my wrist. So it's a little frustrating because I'm not able to see accurate data. And if you are a data-driven type of person, this might be a barrier for you. Okay, the fourth thing I wish I knew and I still just don't do consistently enough is wear shoes on the walking pad. Now, we don't wear shoes on our house. We just leave them at the front door and then just walk barefoot throughout the whole house because grounding, even though grounding doesn't count inside, honestly, I just don't love wearing shoes. And although it's not necessarily bad to walk on the walking pad without shoes, I have noticed that it can make my feet feel like a little uncomfortable after especially walking for like 2 hours straight. Now, I probably could counter this by at least wearing socks while I'm on the walking pad, but definitely if you're going to be using it consistently, you probably want to wear shoes to prevent any like feet issues. Although to be honest, I don't know if I'm going to start wearing shoes. I just really don't like wearing shoes. Okay, the fifth thing that you should know is that it's really not quite the same as walking outside, and you're not going to get all the same benefits as walking outside. Now, no matter how you slice it, it really just doesn't feel as good to walk on a walking pad as it does to walk outside. And that's because you get a lot more benefits when you walk outside. If you're walking out in nature, you get the negative ion exposure, which can help to reduce your stress hormone cortisol and literally make you just feel calmer, more at peace. You also get the added benefit of having sun exposure, which can help with vitamin D production and just elevating your mood. And then you also get the physical benefit of different terrains. So if you're walking uphill or downhill, you're going to be using your muscles and challenging your muscles in different ways, which is really important for having that variable response and just a more well-rounded fitness routine. Now, this puts me in a bit of a pickle because I don't have as much time anymore to go on long walks outside between taking care of Sage and Jack and then also working and then also cooking. Having the walking pad has just been a lifesaver so that I can still get any type of steps in. So because of this, I still try to get some of my steps outside. Like I go on a morning and an evening walk. Sometimes I go out on a walk with the kids to the park, for example. That way I can balance the benefits of the walking pad with walking outside. But if you're somebody who has the option of walking on the walking pad or going for a walk outside, I would still say go for a walk outside. You're going to get a lot more of the benefits and you're just going to feel better versus if you stayed inside and just took that walk on a walking pad. But if you don't have any choice and it's between not walking at all or walking while you work, then I would at least walk while you work. Now, if you're looking into using a walking pad or getting a walking pad, I will say it can be definitely worth it, especially if you have limited time and if you work from home or if you can bring it to your workplace. But depending on your space, you might want to consider one that folds, and you might want to consider a step tracker that is meant to be worn around your ankle. Otherwise, you might get some weird looks, which honestly is totally fine also. Now, one thing that can really help with exercise and muscle recovery is creatine. And a couple years ago, I did a 60-day creatine experiment and my body totally transformed. So if you want to see that video and check out the results, you can find it right here. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in and I'll see you in my next video.